Tia!
I have a collect call for anyone. Will you accept?
¿Qué?
Help! I've been deported! I'm in Tijuana! Javier! Can you hear me? Estoy en Tijuana! Javier!
Jesús está en Tijuana. Madre Santa.
Here it is, the Bakotunes podcast with Matt Munoz. Audio brought to you by Chain Cone Clark.
Welcome back. It is your host, Mr. Matt Munoz, and it is time for
Cesareo Garasa.
Yes, Cesareo, always a hit. He's brought his everlasting light and joy into the studio. And you've been a hit, bro. You've been a hit. That's why you got to come back every week. Big week. Lots of highs, some lows, some mids, some, all that,
The entire frequency.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the first big news of the week, and it has a very strong local ties. The closing of Narducci's Cafe in Old Town Kern.
Yeah, the doors have shuttered once again over there at Narducci's. It's a sad state of affairs.
So if you're wondering what is Narducci's, okay, which we get a lot of that.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of the, where's Narducci's? What is Narducci's? What happened to Narducci's? Okay, Narducci's Cafe is a local landmark, historic landmark in Old Town Kern. It's right there in that Basque restaurant, like what do they call that? It's like the Basque Triangle.
Yeah, it's a 4-block kind of corner from Truxton or Brundage and Baker Street that has wool growers, Pyrenees, Narducci's,
and then Luigi's is over there. Luigi's is close by.
Yeah, Luigi's is across the street on the other side,
which is Italian, not Basque.
It's like they just. I'm assuming they probably all just look at each other, just raising their arms up like.
Yeah, that's another story. So Narducci's Cafe, it's been kind of pulled into a lot of controversy, but it has a lot of fun history, a lot of sad history, a lot of drama, of course. And Bakersfield loves drama, and it makes for a great story. But as two musicians and customers, as patrons to Narducci's over the years, let's talk about it. The way I found out about this latest closing, because it has been open and closed for decades.
Yes.
Okay. We did a show. We were at the, and we could talk about this because it's part of Cesar Chavez Foundation. Our band Mento Buru had played the Cesar Chavez Lowrider Classic Car Show, which was amazing.
It was a wonderful time.
Yeah, wonderful event. Time. And after we went home, you said, I'm going to go check out some local bands at Narducci's, and tell me what happened.
Well, I was checking out In Balance. It's a up-and-coming local melodic punk rock band. It was their second show. And when I was at Narducci's, the owner went on stage, and Edgar Ruelas.
Is he the owner? Or is he somebody who was running?
He was running. He was running the establishment, so he was the owner of this particular iteration of Narducci's. He's not the landlord.
Yeah, which is Jim Narducci.
As far as I know.
As far as we know, yeah.
As far as I know, so
lots of questions.
Yeah, it's lots of questions, and he stated while on stage, he said that this was the last show that Narducci's was going to be shut down the next day. When I spoke to him, he was a little reticent. He was a little bittersweet about it. I gave him my word I wouldn't write a story about it. But
he made the big announcement.
He made the big announcement, and he's the good part about it is he's walking away with this clean. So he's not underwater or anything else like that. He wants to take a little bit of time off, and he's a good man. And the story of him taking over the restaurant after starting off as a dishwasher there is incredibly inspiring, because he had a dream for it, and he was doing pretty well. And
because you wrote the story when he had first moved in
absolutely,
there, right?
because I was playing over there. He was starting to open up. He had bigger plans.
How long ago was this? It's about a year ago?
About a year ago, yeah. And
because I remember it was hot.
Yeah, but even then he was starting to figure out ways of how to cool that band room off. Narducci's has the band room, which is a little tiny room off to the east side of the building. The center part, which is where the kitchen, the bar, and some seats are, and then to the west of that, is another bigger dining room, which he kept super, super cold when it was very hot. So if you were in the other room and it was burning hot, you just went in that room, sat down for a little bit, maybe had some a pork chop sandwich, which was delicious, and cooled off a little bit. One of the biggest issues of the place was the restrooms with their bigger shows were always full.
If you went out the back, when they opened the doors to the main to the dining room, which was where all the concerts were held, there was a patio, and then there was also a grassy area.
Yeah, and the grassy area was just there. It's a nice little grassy area too. So he had plans about doing stuff about maybe putting some kind of outhouse up there, trying to figure out logistic problems that were plaguing the place since the days when they were still being run by Billy Crawford.
Okay, before we get to that,
Yeah.
and we also have to remind everybody, we're talking about Narducci's.
Yeah.
Narducci's Cafe, it's closed down. It's over there in East Bakersfield, in Old Town Kern. It's like a stone's throw from Pyrenees Cafe, right there on Sumner Street. So if you're from Bakersfield, you probably, I remember Narducci's, or maybe you don't, but you could actually go to Bakersfield.com right now, and you can read a little story. By the way, I'm quoted in it, and Cesareo had reached out and talked to me, and he'd say, hey, can you give me a quote for this story? It was kind of done in conjunction with Stephanie Diaz for the Bakersfield Californian, so you can read that. Now, Narducci's Cafe, and then there's Narducci's, the hotel, which is connected to it. Let's talk about that, about its reputation.
Yeah, it's spooky up there. The hotel was both of these places. As far as I know, I don't think Wool Growers has one, but both Pyrenees and Narducci's have hotels that are on top of the restaurant. So it's a two-story. There's two-story venues. There are little apartments, and then there's like a little walkway with apartments.
Old Town Kern. That is the old style, like shared bathrooms, shared showers, right? Was it?
Yeah, it's like one bathroom, one shower. The rooms don't have their own
frozen in
plumbing.
time, really.
It really is, and it's spooky. There's a lot of ghosts up there. And so when the restaurant was shut down, there was a sign, a notice for all the people that were staying in the hotel to go because they were shutting the place down, the whole thing.
Yeah, it was actually Nate Berg, he was a local promoter here in town. He also did the Bones of Brundage Bakersfield music documentary.
Yes.
He had actually posted in the comments when I initially posted about one of the other things we're going to talk about, the Guy Fieri. Guy Fieri, his visit is kind of what started it all. All the residents were being evicted, so you had from like the end of July to get out. Yeah, and that was it.
And then the thing that kind of brought up this whole thing, because I was actually planning on covering this towards the end of the year, but once the Narducci's Instagram account put a notice talking about how it was closing down, it started this whole chain of events of getting picked up by the local news. And I really want to stress out that Edgar was doing as much as, from what I could see.
Edgar Ruelas,
a
local musician,
local drummer.
We knew him as a drummer before he became a business owner, business runner.
And the thing is, it's like he was running the place as a musician would run a place, with an incredible amount of consideration for the talent that was playing through there. Yeah. So he wasn't just kind of just going at this without any knowledge of what it's like to be a musician. He knew. So he did really well with the bands. He treated every band well. I played there with multiple bands, and he treated all of us well. I've never walked out of that place having a bad time.
No, not at all. I remember when he first moved in there, and he had reached out to me. He says, hey, we want to do some of these things over here. I was like, sure. Councilman Andre Gonzalez, I believe the hub of Bakersfield, the local nonprofit that he is involved in, had some money to do like a let's bring some love back to Old Town Kern. He did a series of concerts. I think they only did 2 of them. Yeah. We did the first one at Narducci's, and then there was another one, Valorio, that was held at Pyrenees. So the first time we did it over there with Edgar, he goes, yes, this is what we have. This is all we got. Come and work with us. Absolutely, man. Let's do this. So we went in there. We had a great time. It was super hot. It was super sweaty, but we had a blast because it reminded me of those old times of going over there to play at Narducci's back in the day.
Right.
Back in the mid-aughts, we did a big show with Mento Buru, the Iron Outlaws, Dub Seeds back in 2008 through Bakotopia.
Oh, even from the old days when we would still play there in the 90s.
Yeah.
When it was like when Jim Narducci would still be playing saxophone while we were playing.
Yeah. When Outback Steakhouse first moved into Bakersfield, and I remember they said, hey, the employees are coming into town. We're opening this new restaurant, Outback Steakhouse, and as part of the welcome to Bakersfield, we have a party bus that's going to arrive here at Narducci's, and we're going to have a welcome to Bakersfield party for them. You guys are going to play. So we were all set up at 6 o'clock, 7, 8, 9. They didn't show up until 11 p.m. at Narducci's, and then they wanted us to play until 2 a.m.
Yeah.
We had a blast. Okay, Outback Steakhouse, whatever, which is still here, by the way.
Yeah.
I said, I'm so hungry. And I said, hey, Jim, do you have any food, anything for us? You know what he does? He walks in the back. comes back out with a bowl of beans, little thing of salsa,
Right.
and some bread, and then
We had
walks
a great
away.
time. It was delicious. You know,
Anyway, so that's one of many memories.
And
So,
Narducci's had their own steak night for even Edgar was having them every Thursday. You would have.
We cannot
Yep.
talk about this without Julie Crawford, who was very instrumental in bringing the restaurant back into. And, you know, she's now running Pyrenees with her husband Rod Crawford, who are friends of ours. They're good business owners. They're doing their thing over there.
We played their wedding.
Yeah, we played their wedding. But at the time, Rod was running Pyrenees, and this is 2015. Rod was running Pyrenees. Julie was at Narducci's. Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, hosted by Guy Fieri. That show everybody knows.
Flavortown.
Yeah, Flavortown had come to Bakersfield.
Yep.
So he stopped at Mama Roomba's,
24th Street.
24th Street Cafe, and at Narducci's.
And Casey's Steakhouse.
And Casey's
He loved
Steakhouse.
the
All great
lobster
places.
ravioli.
Love them all. Love them
Yeah.
all. So he stopped at Narducci's. He did his thing. All the
yeah.
news outlets are covering it. Did you see Guy Fieri? Of course, Bakersfield's
You
blown
can't
up.
have-
This is the greatest thing that happened at Bakersfield.
You can't have Flavortown and Bakotown and not write about it.
Yeah. So it happens. I was still at the Bakersfield Californian. I'd interviewed Julie. We had this fun story about it. Julie Crawford was listed as the owner. I got a call from Jim Narducci. He tracked me down, and I'd already left California. I was just a columnist, freelance columnist like you are now. And he says, hey, I was like, Jim Narducci, what's up? He's all, well, I read your story. There's a lot of errors in there. I want you to know, Julie is not the owner. And I was like, oh, no. It started from there. I called up Julie. She apologized. And I was like, hey, well, it's a great story. And from then on, it was just became the war, and then the relationship was over.
Yeah, and then Julie and Rod ended up taking over Pyrenees, and Narducci's just kind of took its slow descent into being closed down. It's shutting its doors.
Yeah, and that was then, and then it closed down for a long time.
Which to me is kind of proof that management is really and having a clear vision of what it is that you want to do is really instrumental in keeping these kinds of businesses afloat. These restaurants in particular, because if you just kind of have food and that's it, then it's not going to do anything. Or if you're just coasting on a name that's been around for a long time, like Narducci's did. You know, Edgar had a vision. He had ideas. Julie had a vision. They had ideas. They did different things with the menus. And people could agree or not agree, but that they were at least trying something.
Yeah, you know what? It's really hard to run a business. And
Yeah,
I want to remind everybody that, listen, you're hearing the stories between Cesareo and, you know, there might be like, hey, I remember it differently. I remember this. You know, you could actually go online and you could look up like the string of stories and piece it all together, and you have your own memories. We're talking about our own experiences right here. So this is very unique to us because Cesareo, as both band members, in our own bands, as journalists, we get pulled into covering like people want coverage of these stories. They want previews of their events. They want this, they want that. And then when things kind of like start to fall apart, nobody wants to talk. So, you know, everybody wants to be written about until it's time to be written about.
Yeah.
as we say in the business, or talked about, like right here on Real Talk. Or
they're not ready to, not ready to be talked to.
Or they're not ready. And I know that we reached out to Edgar Ruelas. Do you want to say anything? And he wasn't in the mood.
No,
he didn't want to, and we respect him for that.
Absolutely.
You know, we didn't reach out to Julie because I'm sure Julie Crawford and Rod are like, listen, we don't want to talk about that. Yeah. And I really doubt Jim Narducci is going to want to talk about it. Right. But you can go to Bakersfield.com and you can read the stories. You can kind of backtrack to those years of drama. The YouTube videos. There's even YouTube videos of the show I was talking about, the New Year's Eve show from 2008.
Which was packed.
Yeah. Let's just give props to all the promoters out there that throughout the years have gone in there. The respectable promoters who, you know, Pat Spurlock, The Mothership, Sabrina, and some of the other ones who were going in there and doing the shows.
Yeah, I'd even say younger promoters like Stephanie Soli and
she did a lowrider show.
Yeah, and Pablo.
Pablo Garcia.
A
lot of great times. They did the best they could. They offered something for underage crowds, and that's the one thing I've always been critical of, and I always bring up is like Bakersfield has a lack of good venues, at least safe venues or semi-safe venues.
Yeah.
You know, for these young bands to go and to just perform for whether it's 10 or it's 100 of their best friends. Because when you go, like when you were there for that show, that was an underage all ages show.
That was an all ages show, and it was packed in there. I mean, I'm talking there, and the thing was
they wanted to be there
party.
at the beginning of the bands and get all the merch and say I was here
exactly.
and support them.
And so when at this show, I mean, there was like fog machines. The place was packed. You could tell that the people were there loved the band and the people that were in the band. I got to see at the new era of mosh pit pits, which includes both razor
It's like
swirl,
a circle, pogo, and windmills.
Yeah, but now it's dive bombs. So people are, instead of not just crowd surfing, which was there, which happened, but it's the dive bombs where people are diving not over and jumping into the crowd, but jumping into the crowd. So there was a lot of boots to the head, and people were just, man.
That's crazy. Let's talk about some of the shows we saw there. Jello Biafra, the Dead Kennedys performed there. Peter Murphy, Blowfly, who's no longer with us. He's kind of like one of the godfathers of modern rap.
Yeah.
Reverend Horton Heat.
Yep.
And we just had kind of our own band experience. We got to talk about Narducci's offered us a place to perform for our band Mento Buru, the Iron Outlaws. Yep. All the bands that we've been involved in, any sort of project that we wanted to do, if we wanted to have we played all types of private events. So, enough respect to Edgar, Julie, and, we don't know what's going on. So, Jim, I hope you make the right decision this next time around. I don't know what to say about that.
I have a feeling it's going to be opening up sooner than we think.
Yeah, I know. We're already kind of laying the flowers on the casket, and then it's like
it's
like Lazarus.
It's like Narducci's is dead. Long live Narducci's.
I know Narducci's is the Lazarus of the Bakersfield music scene.
But going back to what I was talking about before, as much as it's sad that Narducci's is closing again, to me and to us, the biggest kind of casualty of this is the all ages music scene, because like I said, this place was packed. I remember passing by, my wife Elisa went to go see Hate Drugs over at the roller skate place, and it was nothing but teenagers. And so there is a vibrant all ages. Yeah.
You have to be of that age. If you're that old, because Cesareo and I are kind of a little bit older. However, we were there. Yeah. We were once there. So we totally understand how it is important. So if you're out there, if you're a venue that can maybe offer an outlet for some of these bands to go to perform, start posting up online and help them out. Some of these bands, they're young and they're just kind of they've got their eyes are wide open. They're just kind of It's
an opportunity for a venue that's looking, an all ages venue specifically, that has beverages for adults, something for adults, but then also has a stage
they do in LA,
for kids.
the way we always do. We need places like that, and definitely we got to give a shout out to Jerry's Pizza. They are doing their thing over there. I know that sometimes they just had Afro Man there. He came back. They're still doing shows. They're still having shows over there. I know they're doing some shows at Tembler. They got the Fest coming up. So Eddie Numbskull's coming into town. So there you go.
If you were wanting to see Mike Watt play at Narducci's in a few weeks, just keep an eye out. They're going to try to find a new place for him.
Like I said, part of the trajectory of being in a band is just finding another venue.
Yeah, it's rolling with the punches.
And be prepared for all the disappointments of having a band, because it's going to happen a lot. But along with that, it's like John Doe says, struggle brings people together.
Word.
All right, so let's talk really quick. Cesareo, it's time for Cesareo's Chili Dog Movie Review Deluxe. Give me some quick reviews. What did you see?
I saw the first movie I saw was Last Voyage of the Demeter. Really well made movie. Kind of lots of jump scares.
Okay, what is it? Real quick. What is that movie about?
In the story Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, there's a chapter of a ship called the Demeter that was transporting 50 crates of soil from Transylvania to England or to London, including Dracula itself. And in the story, the ship arrived on the London coast or the England coast with nobody on it, or everybody was gone and nobody knew what happened to the ship. But once the ship arrived, I guess, if memory serves, all these rats kind of came pouring out of everything.
That's it, because which was also in Bram Stoker's Dracula. There's that scene. They kind of go through that, but it's really short.
It's a ghost ship.
An entire movie on just that chapter.
And the thing is, it's a really missed opportunity. It was a kind of spooky, but it's just kind of like, if anything, it's trying to be kind of like vibe-wise Midnight Mass from Netflix, kind of like that. And so the Voyage, the design of Dracula himself is kind of like, imagine like a bat. It's more.
So
like,
does he look like the Bram Stoker's Dracula when he's kind of like as a bat,
no,
as a monster?
It's more like Mr. Marlowe from Salem's Lot or Nosferatu. No nose and more rat-like. But when they put him as a bat, you know how bats are kind of like, They're just rats. They're
Yeah.
kind of pudgy, little, hairy with wings. It's kind of when he does the bat pose. That's what he kind of reminds me of. It's just like
I read about this was another, like you said, missed opportunity.
Yeah.
This movie and then the Renfield movie. This is the last 2 Dracula films that have come out.
Yeah.
And they both stink.
Renfield was funny, campy, and gross, like really grisly. Lots of body parts. This one, like, it has a lot of ripped out throats and a lot of blood.
Great actors. Some great actors.
Actually, the acting's not too bad. Great
And
actors.
it looks great.
Yeah, the production values are first rate, much better than Cats.
Guillermo del Toro had praised it for
Maestro.
it. Just looks amazing.
Yeah,
it looks amazing, but the story is just kind of blah.
Yeah, and the deaths are blah, and the characters are blah. It's just blah. Like I said, it's a missed opportunity.
How many chili dogs?
The last Voyage of the Demeter gets 1.5 to 2 for production value, 2 chili dogs for promotion, and
But overall movie expense. One chili dog for that.
Yeah.
Okay, give me your second film. Go.
Second one, not very well known, but it's a movie called Jules, which stars Ben Kingsley.
Who was
and
Gandhi?
Gandhi, yes,
Yes.
and Sexy Beast.
He was mean in that.
And he was also in Iron Man 3.
And Schindler's List.
And
Yes,
yes,
can't
of
forget
course.
that.
Cannot.
Yes.
No one ever should. That movie no one ever should.
Okay, let's talk.
Yeah, but he plays an older senior citizen that's kind of on the edges of dementia, and he's at home. He lives by himself. His kids, I think his wife he's a widower, and a UFO crashes in his backyard. But he's more upset that it wrecked his azaleas than he is at the fact that there's a UFO, and he tries to tell people about it. People just think he's crazy, of course, as one is wont to do when you complain. A UFO landed in my backyard. It ruined my azaleas. And I need something to be. He kind of reminds me of like the character. Like imagine that character with the stapler in Office Space.
Oh yeah,
that's where's my stapler? It's kind of like that same sort of.
But
vibe.
there's an alien in his backyard.
Yeah, there's literally an alien in his backyard.
It reminds me kind of. Are we heading towards M. Night Shyamalan territory?
No,
on this
it's kind of sweet. There's a little darker turn in the middle that's kind of like what, but it's kind of sweet. It's almost like AARP ET.
Yeah. Okay. So the aliens come to the suburbs.
Oh yeah, alien.
Okay.
And the cats are required, and all this little stuff. But the thing that gets me, and the thing that got me in the movie, is that you have all these different people kind of visiting him, and kind of checking up to see if he's all right. And there's an alien here. None of them go check it out. None of them go, well, let me see. None of them do that. They all just go, okay, well, I'll be back. His own daughter. Her voicemail's always full, so she doesn't have the time for him. His son won't even talk to him. So it's kind of like this disconnect about like what happens if something profoundly world-shaking happens to this person, but nobody really listens to him because he's old. And so it kind of brings up these things, and it's a comedy, so it's funny, but it's lightweight, and it's a 3 chili dog movie for me.
Okay,
but it's.
That's an Oscar-winning actor.
Yeah,
top acting,
and he does a great job, but it's really light. The whole movie is a little lighthearted, except for what's the word I'm trying to think of? It takes a violent, dark turn, but only for a little bit. Only for a little bit, because you kind of like go, oh, that's what it. Okay, all right, now I see what's going on.
Okay, so how many chili dogs?
I'd say 3.
Okay, and last Voyage of the Demeter.
1.
Okay, you got that. Narducci's movie reviews with Cesario. My special guest host. You're gonna just have to stay here.
Okay.
You're not leaving.
What else am I gonna do on a Friday?
True.
The Bakotunes podcast with Matt Munoz. New episodes every week. And for the latest, be sure to follow us at Bakotunes on Instagram and Twitter. That's BAKOTUNES. And be sure to like us, rate us, comment at us, and don't forget to subscribe. We'll be back next time.
Forge 1039, a new sound. Welcome back to Real Talk. It is your host, Mr. Matt Munoz, along with my co-host,
Cesareo Garasa.
Okay, as we said in the last quick segment, it is time for Caller of the Week. Now, the question was, what is your response to the latest closing of historic Narducci's Cafe in Old Town Kern? If you've been following all the drama or you haven't, the thing about it is it's buzzing. It's very timely this week. We just got the word, and stay tuned to E! News because we're going to be talking about more of this in depth. But we've been trying to get some information about but why? It's been very limited. You can only speculate. So what we wanted to do is, if anybody's listening out there and remembers Narducci's Cafe and is kind of like knows about all the drama, we wanted to put out the word. Obviously, a lot of people want to talk about this.
Yeah, it's a hot button topic.
All right, so let's go here. Button number 4, caller. Who do we have on the line?
Patrick Spurlock.
Pat Spurlock. Oi! We know Pat.
I know that guy.
I think it's good that we have Pat. This is the perfect caller.
Yes.
And thank you for listening, Pat. So, Pat, where are you listening to right now? Because you're probably listening to streaming.
Yeah, we're streaming out here on the Central Coast listening to you guys.
All right. What's the weather like over there?
Right about now, it's overcast and about 64 degrees.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's get another caller. Anyway,
weather envy.
Yeah, okay, so Patrick Spurlock, Narducci's Cafe, the latest closure. What do you think, man?
I mean, it's one of those things where the instant nostalgia kind of clouds some views occasionally, but at the end of the day, it's another business situation. A lot of things get chalked up immediately among the musicians and the bands to, nobody's supporting live music and this, that, and the other, but, it's a business situation.
When you were here in Bakersfield, you'd been doing some shows over there, right? Over the years?
Yeah, I did things early there, and then, once they kind of made this next swing, we had an album release party and things there.
Yeah, they were pretty open. I mean, the former management, because we also don't want to talk about ownership, because then that opens up a can of worms. Right. But the former management, Julie Crawford, who's over there at Pyrenees, she used to let us go over there and do a lot of different shows. I mean, it was just as easy as just calling up and say, hey, you got any room on your schedule for us to have a show? And it didn't matter if it was hip-hop, because we are a hip-hop station, so hip-hop had a home over there if you wanted to do anything. Art shows, punk, rock, ska, reggae, whatever you wanted to do. Lots of rockabilly over there, because it kind of fit that motif over there in Old Town Kern. You've been following my socials. You post up the story out there. People have memories, and people like, oh, I didn't know it was open. And I've seen some of the comments that you put. You want to tell me what your reaction was?
Well, to the people that didn't know, it's because you're not there. You're not paying attention. There's a million things going on in the scene that you're not aware of if you're not in it and you're not part of it all. Again, it's a business situation. There's that instant nostalgia kind of takes over and gets people
riled
up in
up.
Arms,
yeah.
But
yeah, it is a business decision, and the business owner can really do whatever they want with it. I mean, it's their business, so you either have to roll with it or don't come back if they open up again. It's really up to you. What do you think, Cesareo? What do you think about what Pat said?
I think that he's absolutely right. And then when it comes to business, it's like you can only hope for the best for the business owner, that they're not walking away from any business that they have or that they've invested in with a large amount of debt, or that they're walking away with any sort of like negative kind of baggage put on them. You can only hope for the best that they were able to walk away clean, and that's it.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna be talking about that with Cesareo, because the way I found out about the closure was because of Cesareo. So we're gonna talk about that. So Pat, predictions for the next chapter of Narducci's Cafe.
I believe somebody will kind of recognize the opportunity from the restaurant aspect, and then potentially music may follow, but I think at this time it'll be a little while.
Yeah, it's going to take a while. All right, thank you, Pat. That was your caller and a question and call of the week. Thank you, Pat Spurlock, for calling in. Hey man, next time you're in town, why don't you just come into the studio, man?
Yeah, I need to do that.
But for now, enjoy your cooler weather, bro. All right, thanks, Pat. Stay tuned for more Real Talk right here on Forge 1039 with Matt Munoz and
Cesareo Garasa.
Right here on Forge 1039, a new sound. Thank you, Pat.
Are you there?
Yeah.